Welcome to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you're talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we do some very clever things with the booking data flowing through a TMC. So if that sounds of interest, please do get in touch to talk about that some more. I'm glad we're back to our usual threesome, so I'm joined by Anne and Ash to help me discuss the stories with you. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant with LeapShift and happy to help you with anything regarding distribution, like one order, NDC, retailing, etc. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash, and I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the Vice President of Client Success at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
So for those new to the event, the format here is a discussion of the most talked about travel industry related stories on LinkedIn from last week. And we go through them and we do welcome your participation as well. So you can either comment and we'll show that comment on screen. First story from last week, which is to be expected, but this is the news about United Airlines and ITA Airways, inspired by Alitalia, will start their loyalty and code partnership today. In fact, the announcement was focused on the 15th of September. So this was to be expected, Ash. There's nothing new in here, right? But it's good to see this is going forward.
So what's interesting about this, Rian, is that they're supposed to start today, but ITA is still in the process of exiting SkyTeam. So at this moment, ITA might be part of two different alliances simultaneously.
Going through the article again. But yeah, you're right. So I mean, who would expect anything non-chaotic from an Italian integration, right?
I was going to let you say it, but yes, I agree. There's definitely something there. And, look, the program is great. The ITA's loyalty program and the United program emerged. Travelers can switch between the two. You have access between the airlines' lounges. So all of that is great stuff. And I think this is what ITA needs, but is for United to help them with getting traffic into ITA Airways, which is really the ultimate goal of all of this.
The next story is about Amadeus partnering with BagTag. Now, we do like BagTag. They are pretty cool, electronic baggage tag sort of company. And the announcement was announced last week on the BagTag LinkedIn page, where they talk about the fact that the integration with Amadeus is going to mean a few things. One of them being that passengers can simply place their bag on the belt and the tag will update automatically, check in, etc., etc. Very interesting concept. I mean, and this is great news. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work practically, although they do explain it there on the side. Is that the expectation? You'll have an electronic tag on your bag, and as you check in, it will just update?
Yeah, it will just update, and you can see that record. I think it's just fabulous. It's really great. I mean, it's super that I assume this is the airport side of Amadeus. Of course, that's a very good partnership, and like you said, we like BagTag. I mean, this is great. It's progress.
Actually, you're going to trust this story?
No, I'm not. I'm not feeling entirely the same way all of you are about this.
Well, I'm 50-50 on this one. I mean, I'm the type that stands back and I watch my bag go safely into that space, and then I walk away from the counter. I'm sure you do the same, Ash.
But I kind of trust the people that I'm talking to when I check in my bag.
Yeah, of course. Right? So, in your case, you have these white-gloved personal assistants who carry your bags. Mine is just on the belt. So
they actually wipe the bag down before they submit it in as well. I don't understand this concept of do not need to scan a barcode. I mean, you're swiping something to get the barcode. All of these things are connected. So the effort to me is no different than a regular bag tag. I would rather lean on the side of putting some sort of a tracking device in my bag if that's really what you're worried about. And if you're worried about paper and environmental, I mean, this whole thing costs 90 euros to buy a bag tag. And if you have two bags, now you got to spend almost 200 euros for the bag tag. Then you got to go, if you have a family, now every single person's bag tag. I mean, by the time you're done with this entire thing, you're out $1,000 just on bag tags alone.
You can reuse it. That's the whole thing.
Yes, of course. But I'd rather go get a $40 tracking device. And then the other thing about this is it's subject to those airlines that Amadeus has a partnership with.
Yeah.
So you can't use it for every airline.
It is a bit weird in that sense, yes. I thought it will also tell you where the bag is. It is also a location device, but it may not be. I might have that wrong. But then I don't understand, like you do, why not scan it?
The partnership between Alaska Airlines and BagTag to me is a little bit more meaningful. I think that there is a lot more value there. But this general GDS experience where it's subject to certain airlines, if I'm a consumer and I'm buying a BagTag for 80, 90 euros, I'm going to expect that it works on every airline.
It has nothing to do with the GDS. I mean, this is Amadeus on the airline side, the airport side of things, right? So, and Amadeus check-in airports is quite a large business. So this really expands the reach quite considerably, I would say. I think it's a great beginning.
There is another catch, and it does say it can update automatically when the baggage is placed at an Amadeus-powered self-service bag drop. So there's that catch as well.
I'll add one last comment, Rian and Ann, on this, is that you fly, let's say, from an Amadeus airport and you come to an American airport, and on the way back, you don't have the same service. So,
There's an excellent comment there from Ben Becker. Thank you, Ben. That is true. He's saying that this is the last place I need a point-to-point integration is between his bag and a legacy PSS.
Well,
fair point. Absolutely. So, Ben, you said hello to us from New York. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening and thank you for commenting as well. And I agree, Ben. There was some interesting research published by Skift last week into specifically US travelers' use of AI for trip planning. The post was actually brought to us by somebody called Seth Borko. That's the person who talked about it. And he was just saying that his jaw dropped at these latest AI usage stats from Skift research. And it's obviously showing us that there's a lot of AI being used in trip planning, which, I don't find surprising at all. And this is to be expected, right? I don't think for me it was more than I expected. I don't know about you.
Very much expected. We can just confirm it. I could just look to myself how much I use AI solutions for planning, etc.
I was interested in the graph, Rian and Ann, where you see such a huge increase from not interested category to extensively, but then you start to see this huge change. I'm not suggesting that everybody that was not interested is now extensively interested. What I'm suggesting is that you see a push moving towards the extensively part. The part that is concerning to me about all of this is that while the consumer is getting more and more savvy in terms of using AI, are the TMCs also getting savvier? And I'll just use the internet as a simple example. When the internet first came out, TMCs and the traditional travel agencies did not embrace the online booking very well. I am suggesting that there's a possibility that that whole process is going to repeat, and we're going to see the same thing happening where people just don't use AI within these organizations. And I'm talking about the customer-facing folk, the travel agents. And if they're not going to use AI, there's also going to be a separation between what the customer knows and the traveler knows and what the agent knows. And so that is where I think the focus should be is we expected mass consumers to use it for sure. We see the trends, but are we using it within our industry?
I was at an agency conference last week. That's where I went to. It was all work, I promise you guys. This was a big topic of discussion. Interesting feedback there from that audience was there is so much to choose from and so many options. They didn't say, oh, hell no, I couldn't be bothered. They were saying, I need some guidance. A piece of feedback I can give you straight from the market.
But then the question now becomes that 30% extensively using the AI process today, is that the same percentage we find in the travel industry? And my answer would probably be no. Right? We're not at par with extensively, but yet the customer is going in this direction. Yeah. And I agree with Michael's comment that if you're going to be left behind, but that's exactly what happened when the internet first came out. People got left behind, agencies closed, there was a lot of consolidation and mergers, and I fear that the same thing is going to happen again globally if we don't make an effort around it. So if I'm an operations person in a TMC, I'm trying to put my staff in the extensively category as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Okay, now speaking of which, let's just go and turn to the audience and say thank you very much for giving us your time. We're not done. We've got a few more stories, but the interaction, the comments are fantastic. So thank you for that. Like Ben and Susan has done, just tell us where you're listening from. Just comment that and we'll bring your name on screen. And hopefully we'll generate some further LinkedIn connection requests from within the trade for you. Thank you for giving us your time. Comac, the Chinese manufacturer of aircraft, they've gained a few more customers. There was an interesting post here. Chao Ping Li, she does very good snippets every day. She was talking about the fact that Air Cambodia has just signed an additional 10 Comac C909s, so that's 20 in total now. So if you are thinking that nobody flies these jets outside of China, you are wrong. It's already being used within Indonesia, Vietnam, and Laos. Interesting statistic there. Interesting to think about that, right? And it's not fantasy anymore. It's real, right? This plane is flying.
It's all very interesting. And we've been talking about this for quite some time, haven't we? You were saying that, you're never going to work outside of China. But of course it is.
And then we do have a story that got away category this week. I found this post fantastic. This is by Martin Soler, and he wrote quite a lengthy piece where he was reflecting on the self-service culture in travel today. Fascinating piece. The reason why we put it in this category is I don't think it got the attention it deserved. And he was just making some comparison, and he was reflecting on a recent trip he had with his family and kids, etc., and how, there are definitely upsides to doing this, but also there's a lot of downsides. It was interesting. I was reading this as I was experiencing something quite similar. I went to a customer conference to a resort in the Maldives, quite a famous resort. And interestingly, they were really pushing you to use their app to do the pre-arrival check-in. And the first thought that came through mind is, here I'm doing their work for them. I mean, I'm going to a luxury 5-star resort and they want me to download their app and use it to provide them with all the information. Of course, they're pitching you this, well, if you do this, then your arrival will be smoother, etc. And my first thought was, well, why can't you just sort out your own service and make it good for me when I arrive? I didn't like that at all. That's just my impression. I mean, I like self-service. I don't like having to download the supplier's app to do it. I mean, I want to do it on a generic browser or a different process. But there are certain instances where I certainly expect someone to be there, do that for me. The same app you had to use to book your restaurants. First thing I did was I just made good friends with one of the staff and, WhatsApped her all the time for what I wanted done because I couldn't be bothered going through, menu and then day and then slots. And then I just said, I need the slot at this restaurant tomorrow, sort it out. I think you can see where I stand on this, right, Ash? I suspect you might be in the similar position.
I see a lot of scenarios where they have totally abandoned customer service. Just because you have a kiosk or just because you have a certain app or whatever your scenario might be does not mean that you abandon the service part. I think that the ones that are able to maximize the use of these technologies and create efficiencies are those that have great customer service at the same time to help those who are struggling with that process. I think the other thing also is that you have to be very careful. In the case of your hotel example, in the case of some of the airlines, of course, it's branded with your name. It's got your logos. People understand this is an extension of your own services. But in many other cases in the industry, because of the use of third-party solutions, there is a separation between the understanding of your brand and your process. I'll use Concur as an example. A lot of times you ask a traveler, who's your agency? They say Concur. Concur is not an agency, right? So that's a separation of self-service. I mean, you have self-service now, but the brand has been lost. So no longer does the name Amex GBT or the name CWT pop up in the traveler's mind. It's now my agency is Concur. That's an example of a situation going bad where you've lost the brand, you've lost the image for the sake of self-service.
I mean, in certain brands, I expected, right? And like a Ryanair, right? You're going to self-service, right? Because isn't it true, though, that it's difficult to find that balance, right?
I agree that it's difficult. I find it a bit strange that they don't incentivize you to use the app, the resort. To me, that would be clever to sort of say, you will get, a discount, or we will give you, a little something or whatever, because I understand where they're coming from with the app, of course. But coming back to the LinkedIn post, I'm sort of like I haven't used a kiosk in 8 months, a year, something like that. When I used a kiosk, it must have been Norwegian, I can't remember, but you just scan the passport. So I'm a bit sort of surprised at that. Aren't kiosks going away?
To be fair, and there's a good comment there from Michael Carter saying it's, self-service is going to be used for repeat services, which is good. And another example where self-service worked very well is arrivals in Dubai at the stopover. I use the e-gates. Yeah. It's great because I don't have to talk to anybody about why I'm there. I scan and go. And shout out to Dubai Airport. I mean, also shout out to Fly Dubai. I'm so impressed with Fly Dubai, but also just the efficiency. I was through Dubai airport in my hotel within 40 minutes. That's using public transport as well.
Wow.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. And then, you get back to the UK or other airports where it's just chaos. Cool. There's another comment there from Gavin. Hey, Gavin, how are you? Gavin saying they should have the info in the booking. Absolutely. And push it via the app. 100%, Gavin, that you have to retype things that's already in your booking goes beyond me.
Yeah.
So why do I have to resupply information?
Yeah.
I think the other comment is from Susan once again, and also about e-gates.
I've used them in the UK, but in Copenhagen, they have e-gates and they're always closed. I find this mind-boggling.
So surprisingly, despite the short list of stories there, we did manage to use up the entire half an hour. So there we go. Must be all the interaction we got there. Thank you for that, guys. We really appreciate that. So this is a wrap for this week. We do this weekly, as Ash will remind us. There we go. So thank you both. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everyone. And a special thanks for all your interactions and comments. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoy today's session, those that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, the podcast is available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.